And next up, we got Mark Normand.
I've got like 18 bits here that all suck, but do you want a full fleshed out joke that's like kind of killing, or do you want a straight up just a premise, or do you want somewhere in the middle?
I'd say go with the one that's not quite fleshed out yet, because then we could hopefully be of the most help and have the most
assistance.
All right, I need help with this. So I write a lot of, I don't know, AKA or offensive stuff or edgy stuff, and I need some clean material in case old Seinfeld calls again. But I've got no clean. It's all just, sex and race and gay and trans and all that. So I need something just every day. All right, so here's one that's just been noodling on me, and people come up to me after, and they're like, that was something, but I just can't crack it. I drink too much, and I get the worst hangovers, like horrific hangovers. And I say when I'm hungover, I'm basically the same thing as an old person. When you're hungover, you see what you're going to be like as a senior citizen. You can barely get out of bed. You're hunched over. You're cranky. You're like, turn that down. You get to the living room. Somebody hands you an IV and some Advil, and they even talk about you like you're a drunk. They're like, oh, man, he doesn't remember much. We took him out last night. He said a racial slur. He shit himself. We had to pack him into the car. It was bad news. And then if you drink too much, you go to rehab, which is basically an old folks home. A bunch of people in bathrobes, shuffling around, sitting in circles, telling old stories. Then I try to do this big closer connection thing where I combine the two of like a rehab drunk guy talking to a old guy. And the old guy's like, yeah, I was shot at in Vietnam. And I'm like, I was taken down by shots too. And he's like, yeah, my wife was hit by a drunk driver. Why are you in rehab? He's like, I ran over a lady when I was drunk. But something's missing.
You can't eat anything. Everything makes you nauseous.
Yes.
Bad taste in your mouth.
Spitting up. I think that the thing that's missing is like a justification. Like, how do we get into this joke? Because the analogy is so one-to-one, like it's just so perfect that just saying it's like this, it's like there's not enough. I would say that something like,
that's good.
I like to volunteer at old people's homes when I'm hungover, because I feel exactly like the old people that I'm trying to help,
Yeah, they're just like, the music today. You're like, right? I know.
Yeah.
Normally you can't stand being around old people. Now you get them.
I go in there and they're like, can you close the blinds? It's too bright in here. And I'm like, way ahead of you, pal. Oh, man.
That's good. That's really good, because that connects it immediately.
I was gonna say, what if when you're hungover, you see an old person with an aide, and you're like, oh, can I borrow her?
That's great.
I don't know if this does anything, but I do like the idea that the way that you get to be that old in your hangover is that you go out drinking, which is like, you just like kind of accelerate, you're like injecting young activity. Do you know what I mean? You're just like being so young for like hours. You're partying and you're drinking and you're having fun. You jump around and you're fucking, that you need to be old the next day for a little while.
It's like you've lived that life, because he did that as a youth, and then he got old. I accelerated it in literally one night.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So that really helps. Like, maybe I'll say I used to volunteer at an old folks home. Lie, but I hated it.
Say that too.
I hated it, and it sucked, but I'd have to get really drunk at night because it was such a bummer, and then I'd go in hungover, and I was fitting in.
Yeah.
That could really bring it together, because the A to B was such a, this is like this and this is like this, and they're like, yeah, I guess, but you can do that with anything.
Right.
So that actually makes it real.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything complicated. Yeah, I just play checkers and give me applesauce. Like, that's all I want. Like, you're so with everyone, the whole thing.
Yes. Isn't it funny? Like, that bit it's hitting a little bit, but you can tell you're like, something's missing. And I think you nailed it there.
Hey,
that's great.
Grand Slam Berenstein.
Rock and roll.
Yes. See,
that's all nose and
only
brains.
2 minutes in. We did it, folks.
Above the nose is all it takes.
You and your Jew brain cracked it. How about that?
Did you pull that out of the Torah? How'd you do that?
Pull that out of the Torah. What was that written on the on the inside of your yarmulke.
Oh my God.
I think that'll really save it. I'm gonna try it tonight. I got 2 shows, so I think
right.
that'll really help. But I'll clean it up as well. Like I'll keep polishing it, but that helps.
If you're old enough, family members do start to worry about you. But if you drink enough, family members also start to worry about you. They're like, do you think we should do something about Mark? I know, he's you know.
And that's where the rehab came in, because same with old folks home and rehab, no one wants to go. And the whole family's like, you're going. You have to go. And they drag you there. You know?
Yeah.
Like, the grandpa's always pushing back on old folks home. And the fucked up kid, the fucked up son or daughter is like, I'm not going to that shit. And then they eventually go.
Yeah. If you had an intervention, then you're kind of a little bit more prepared for when you get old and have to be carted off. Because you're like, I've had this conversation before.
Right.
I like the idea of the old guy who checks himself into the old folks' home. He's like, no, this is voluntary. Just 30 days. I just need to get my head clear. And then I'm back out into a one bedroom.
Yeah, that's the only difference is old folks' home, you're going to die there. Rehab, you can get out.
Right. You just feel like you're going to die there.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be funny to do the rehab old person's home analogy? Like, you know, you wake up hungover one day and, you know, your family's like, you're supposed to go volunteer at that old person's home today. And then you have the argument, the rehab argument, but about going to your volunteer shift. Does that make sense? You know, the way that your family would have an intervention and be like, you got to go to rehab.
Oh, right.
They're saying you got to go do your shift at the old person's home.
Interesting.
Okay. I don't know if that works, but this is an idea I had.
Well, that's good because it's already kind of a loosey-goosey concept of an idea. So then when I go and old folks home is just like a rehab. People are, I feel like I'm losing them more because I already barely had them on a string. And so when I throw that in, I lose them. So that's another great way to kind of solidify it.
Yeah.
Could you talk about how it's unfair that old people get this treatment, but when you're hungover, you don't get that treatment? Where somebody's like, he's having trouble walking, get him a walker. You're like, what about me?
Right.
I'm having trouble walking.
There should be a special line at the airport for me. There should be wheelchairs for me.
I thought about that, and I did a couple things like that. Like I should get to board the airplane first. But the difference is I did this to myself. You know, the old guy just got old. He earned it. And I think that's where I lost people. They're like, you're just a fuck up. He actually lived it.
Yeah, maybe if you're just like, I can't help but thinking, or something like that. If you just give it a little nod to, I acknowledge that it's not fair, but I just would like that. I'm jealous.
Yes.
It's interesting because I don't know if this idea is so half-brained, but like when you said you did it to yourself, the old person also did it to themselves in a way just by living too long. And I wonder if there's any like shade you could throw at an old guy like, Grandpa, you're living too long. Just stop it. You're 87. I'll be as old as I want to be. No, this is ridiculous. We're putting you in a home. Like, no, I don't want to go. No, we are putting you in a home.
You could have stopped drinking at 4 beers. Well, you could have killed yourself 20 years ago. All right.
No one said that you needed to be 92, Grandpa. Okay, so there's 7 billion people on the planet. Make some room. You know what you're talking about. You've had enough. I'll tell you what, I've had enough.
I was thinking about the progression from like being a helpful person at the old person's home to being popular because you relate. It's like an old person could ask you for something and you'd be like, this is going to take me a minute. My body feels terrible. And the old person's like, right?
Right.
And then instead you just kind of kvetch together.
I like when you're hungover, you notice the rail next to the toilets now. You're like, oh, this is great.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, wow. Were these always here? This is amazing. This is amazing.
Every toilet should have these. Jesus.
Yeah. There is something really nice, this is unrelated, but when you're on an airplane and you're just really, really tired, that wall that you can kind of lean on when you pee is kind of like, you're like, oh, this is good.
You know what I'm talking about, lady?
Yeah,
when
Lady leans on the wall and then she's done peeing, there's just piss everywhere. She's like, well, that was nice. It was comfy.
There could be something too where I go to the airport, I'm on the plane, and people are helping me with the bags. Like I'm an old guy, you know. They're like, "Let me help you, sir. You're fucked up."
What if you just start carrying a cane every time you're hungover? People start thinking you're old.
It's my hangover cane.
Yeah. Put on some sunglasses, a hat, carry a cane. All of a sudden, everybody's real nice to you.
People
but they're
are
mean
helping
to you when
cross
you're
the
hungover.
streets.
What did you do that, you piece of shit? You were drinking all night. You deserve this. But if you put on a hat and some sunglasses and get a cane, everybody is like, let me help you to your car.
Right. Right. That's not bad.
What?
And I actually do kind of need one sometimes.
A cane?
Yeah, when I'm hungover.
You've been so hungover you need a cane?
Oh, dude. I'm been so hungover, I'm like army crawling on the hotel floor. Like, just to get to the toilet.
Wow, Mark, could you mute us for a sec? Guys, should we put Mark in a home?
Should we put Mark in a
He just said he needs a cane sometimes.
You see?
He's in his 30s. What the fuck?
This is why the, this is why the joke has legs.
Sorry, did I say cane?
You barely do.